Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here, coming at you with a little bit of Power Rangers news, or more like Power Rangers rumors, as Jinsaku has shared what he said is the plans that Hasbro pitched to Netflix for their new version of a reboot after they decided to scrap the reboot they were working on because they thought it was too risky. So again, as with all rumors, take this with a grain of salt. I'm going to read roughly what this says and then talk about my thoughts and stuff. So there was a meeting on January 3rd about future Power Rangers. As I just said, Hasbro didn't want to do the reboot anymore, the one they were doing anyway, because they thought it was too risky, and instead they wanted to do a reboot MMPR show, which is no surprise. And it would be a remake of the 10 most iconic episodes from Season 1 with new characters, or not new characters, new cast as the classic characters, Jason's back. Guess who's back? Jason, Zach, Kimberly, Trini, Billy, so on and so forth. You know, just new actors in the classic roles. It would have the same tone as the original 90s show, just set in modern times, kind of like Once and Always, he says, which, you know, makes sense. Kind of like, think of just the way Once and Always looked and felt, except probably a little bit less mature, with the mature parts. Episodes, Day of the Dumpster, High Five, A Pressing Engagement, I Guy, Happy Birthday Zach, Foul Play in the Sky were the first ones being talked about. Cheaper show, most likely with the same budget as Once and Always, and aimed at kids, as part of the new launch, the new logo, new games, comics, etc. Netflix dropped it, you know, passed, and that's as far as we know. They're currently shopping around for other ones. So, this is not great news. Again, this is with a grain of salt, but this does feel true, mainly because they have that deal coming out with Playmates, where they're going to be doing MMPR toys, which would make sense that they would want to have something MMPR related. Like, they could totally drop an MMPR line just not tethered to anything currently outside of, you know, if the comics had still been going on, or the fact that MMPR is in the public consciousness. But of course, you're always going to do better if you have kids watching a show and then wanting to buy merchandise from that show. Not to mention if they do happen to introduce anything remotely new at all in terms of like gadgets or anything, they can make those toys and stuff. So that's one of the only things that makes me feel like it really feels true, is like, that makes sense, because that deal with Playmates came out and maybe they were kind of working on all that at the same time, and they're probably trying to do that. And it just feels like that's what the current like leadership at Hasbro would be wanting to do. Like, they own this thing, they want to figure out how to make money from it in the least risky way possible. And unfortunately, as much as I'd love to see the reboot, it is a risk. Now, of course, this is going to have a lot of people saying, like, well, why didn't they just stick with what they currently had? I mean, exactly. I mean, you guys know me. I'm the one, I don't want to see any more Sentai adaptations. I'm not going to be mad, but I want to see the franchise move past Sentai. I wanted to see the reboots. I wanted to see us do original stuff. But if you're going to do this, why not just stick with the status quo? Although, just retool it with a team that's not behaving like they live in Pleasantville. But regardless of my thoughts on the quality of the show, if you were going to do this, you already had a working machine. You blew it up! We had a good thing going. We had a lab. We had Fring. But you had to blow it up with your pride and your ego. Like, honestly, like, again, I was fully in support of moving past it. But if you wanted to do this stay safe option, Power Rangers was already running itself. It was a well-oiled machine. You know, they already had the team in New Zealand. You just did an adaptation every year. The toys were doing decently-ish well. You know, I don't know what the numbers were like as we got into the Hasbro era, but everything from, like, the Neo Saban era, and again, I don't know the numbers because I don't follow the little numbers like a little tax person. I don't know what they call those people now. Who does your taxes? Anyway, regardless, but it seemed like it was doing at least decently well until Ninja Steel, like, enough to sustain itself. Like, that's the thing that's weird about Power Rangers, is from its whole life, it's very rarely seemed to have these huge tanks. Well, I mean, obviously, you know, you have those situations like In Space or Wild Force where it was supposed to be canceled. But I'm talking about, like, in the toy line. You never had these huge tanks, and it just kind of exists in a coma, like, constantly. Like, it just barely keeps itself alive. But it's like, that's exactly what they could have kept. They could have just kept that going. I bet they feel pretty foolish behind the scenes for basically shutting the whole thing down and then deciding to want to do the same thing. Now, here's the thing. Another thing that people is going to be upset about, I said that really weird. Another thing that people are going to be upset about is, of course, the more MMPR, and that I also totally get. However, I'm just going to say, if we were to just be like Ninja Turtles or Transformers to a degree, where we just reinvented the same core characters and concept every few years, but it was good, or at least there was good ones every once in a while or every other or whatever, I would honestly be fine with that. Like, if we were to do this, like, modern reboot with the MMPR characters, kind of like 2017, but it would work out for a few years, and then PR goes quiet for a year or two and comes back with an animated series and it's MMPR, honestly, so long as it's good, I'm totally fine with that. I've been enjoying the comics far more than the Sentai adaptations. I've been enjoying the comics for more than a lot of Sentai. So that would be okay. It would make sense to me because logically that is the brand that is the most recognized overall. That's just a fact. And using that, I would be okay with that. That would be fine. It would kind of suck that we wouldn't get like maybe just new designs and stuff, but if it would be good, if it was animated or a reboot or just a series of animated series, I'd be fine with that. But this does not sound like the right thing. Even actually a live-action-esque one wouldn't be terrible. At the same time, though, I feel that really PR's aesthetic just feels like embarrassing to a lot of people. And I think that's its problem. And I think this is going to take the few blips of heartbeat we have left with PR's like possibility of moving past this reputation and just kill it, at least for now. You know, who knows? It could be enjoyable. I'll keep an open mind, I guess. I'm definitely curious to see what the toys look like. I'm curious, like, if this is gonna feel, if they do it, if it's gonna feel like Neo Saban with that very pleasant feeling dialogue and the cheesy morals, like just a really outdated stuff. I mean, the thing is here, they have a chance to update this too. Like, you don't have to do, basically almost sounds like they're doing what Neo Saban is doing, or did, where they brought back PR and then like the writing was this weird mix of sometimes lifting Sentai dialogue, but also this really weird, stilted 90s dialogue, and it's just strange. So like, I'm not saying I would love this or this would be my preference, but it would be kind of cool if they did this but approached it more from like a Disney lens and tried to make it more modern and cool, like with good stunts and hire actual actors and make the dialogue feel natural. I mean, of course, some of the dialogue feels a little dated in the Disney seasons now, but in my opinion, Disney era had the best dialogue of the main show. It felt the most natural, the most current. You had Flad, Numa people, Baby Dragon, that's it. Hire Joey Wheeler to be the head of this. No more Zordon, Joey Wheeler is the mentor. That's it, the end of it. Joey Wheeler is the mentor, Pegasus is the villain. It's the new reboot. I don't know where I was going with that. It would be nice if instead of going back to exactly what MMPR did outside of the aesthetics, they just made it modern and like not terrible. Like, you can still appeal to kids, but you can appeal to a larger age range. That's something, I'm sure there's some smart people out there that can tell me the reasons for this, but when it comes to PR, I never understood why you don't want to cast a wider net. Like, I understand, like, maybe you want your core demographic to be these younger kids that are going to buy the toys, but if you cast a wider net, you have the possibility of having a larger audience and more people buying the toys. I don't know why you would want to limit yourself. You know, I know it's like strange examples because it's totally different scale in like every way, but think about like comic book movies, you know, they clearly market those to adults, even have mature jokes, but they know 4-year-olds are going to go see that too. So, I don't know. I know it's a different story, but I just never understood why you wouldn't want to cast a wider net. But, yeah, this isn't great news. This isn't great news. We'll see how it plays out. Definitely disappointing. I can understand why they see the reboot as a risk, but this just feels like, what was the point of all this then? You know, if you wanted to stick with the same old crap, you should have just had it. You had the same old crap running. Like, I wish it was an animated series. I think an animated series would be so much better because it would be a little bit safer because you're still going with MMPR, but you might get people to look at it differently with an animated series. Like, I bring up Voltron and then several people are like, but the older season sucked. It doesn't matter what you think about it. Voltron worked for at least when it came out. People liked it and people were paying attention to it. And if you did that, I think you could play it safe with MMPR and still like maybe have some new eyeballs on it. And there's like people that would want to be involved. I wouldn't mind an animated series based on the return. That would be more adult leaning, but in my opinion, I think in terms of playing it safe but maybe going in new ground, animated would be the way to go. I wouldn't mind if the future of PR was animated totally, but I think that would be a better option and less embarrassing. Like, even if like older fans like our age that didn't stick with it were to pop on the animated series, they're certainly not going to probably make fun of it unless the writing's really childish, but I think that they would be like, oh, that's kind of cool, instead of laughing at the poor quality of how Power Rangers is shot. But I don't know, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments as always. I will keep you guys updated on all this if we get any changing situations and obviously if they announce anything. But until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell to get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.